Hello, yes, and welcome in everyone. Sorry about the slight delay there. I had forgotten to plug my microphone in, so I started up and I was wondering why I got no sound, and I hadn't set up my wireless microphone because I took it down from before. So let's get stuck in. What's happening? What you're going to see now? What's really happening is that this is part two of that PC build you seen me doing before. It's all buttoned up now, all wire managed. Basically, what I'm going to do now is install Windows. Don't worry, I will not be giving away the product key. I won't be activating Windows online. I'll activate it after, but I'm going to install Windows, get the required updates, streamline the system, run a piece of software on it to take out all the unnecessary buff that we don't need, and then we'll sort of like get down to it. I've just inadvertently took the wrong screen. Now there we go. So I fired up the PC. I'm in the BIOS right now. I'm checking the BIOS. I do believe that I did previously download a BIOS file for this, which I will have to check. But first of all, let's get my Windows installation media, and then we'll get Windows installed. Here we go. Here we are. Let me just okay. I'll just need to get the right. Just moving stuff around there, getting the right keyboard. I was about to put a keyboard and mouse on this. I've attached the keyboard and mouse on this. So we'll just get the right one. So I'm going to use my fastest port here. Plug that in, and then I'm going to more or less restart this and restart this, and hopefully it should start from Windows from my installation file. Okay. Now I do hope these batteries are still in good nick in this keyboard, because it's a wireless keyboard on my, but unfortunately it's the battery on. Okay, there we go. It's found the media. All right, so let's get this. So there we go. So let me show you the installation process that I use at this present time. I've not got the system connected up to the internet yet. So this is a clean install from my installation media. This is how you should really install Windows for the first time when you're doing a clean install. This will ensure that you get the best experience, and you don't have any sort of like unnecessary errors or issues. Although Windows wants you to connect to the internet during the installation, because it's going to download all the latest files and that, it also will be trying to force you to create a Microsoft account. Now if you've already got a Microsoft account, there's not a problem. You can go ahead and do that. But if you don't want to be forced into creating a Microsoft account, you just want a clean install of Windows, then this is the way to go. And this is the way I do it for all business. I'm not going to put my Microsoft account on this because this is not my system. This is going to a client, a customer. It's a business customer, and I don't want none of my personal information on there. If they've got a Microsoft account where they want to use, that's fine. If not, then they can always put one on later if they want to, or whatever. So at the Windows startup screen there, let's make sure it's referring to the right one. So it says United Kingdom, not United States. So you've got to be careful, because some media will default into the United States option of installation. We want the United Kingdom. Click next, and then it says install now, prepare your computer. So we're going to install now. So now it's going to be searching for the media where it wants to put it, and it says activate Windows please. If this is the first time you install Windows on this PC, or if you're installing a different edition, you need to enter a valid Windows product key. Now I do have a product key for this, but as I say, I'm not going to do this online. It's going to be a Windows Pro key. But what you do here, instead of being forced, or think all these lost, it says I do not have a product key. So you click here. Okay. And then it's that you come into this state. Now don't just click next straight away. Look at the options available to you. I'm not installing Windows 10 Home. I don't install Windows 10 Home on a business PC. I always install Windows 10 Pro, and that's the key that I've got. So I click Windows 10 Pro, 64 version, of course. There's no 32-bit anymore. Next, well, I'm saying no more, but you know what I mean. It's all 32. It's all 64 bits now. You've got to accept this. There's nothing that you can do about that. Totally up to you if you want to go along and scroll through all that and read all that. If you like that stuff, you can do. Nothing wrong in it. I'm not knocking anybody to read it, so you should. You know your rights. Now you got two options here. It says which type of installation do you want. Now, do you want to upgrade, install Windows and keep file setting and applications, or a custom? Now I always choose custom, always. I'm not doing an upgrade, so I'm going to custom install, which gives me the options. Then it's showing me the drive there. Right, so drive 0, we delete that. Okay. And then we've got one big space now. This gives you 1 terabyte. You see that? It says total size 931.5 gigabytes, but it's actually a 1 terabyte drive, yeah. But that's how it comes out, because there is going to be some reserved overhead space that you will not be able to access, that Windows uses, and that's also obviously for the installation process. So it takes away. So if you put a 1 terabyte in and you're thinking, why is it only saying that? I'm not got one. You have got your 1 terabyte space, but a portion of it is required by Windows during the installation. So it automatically deduct this from the unallocated space, or the space that it's showing you. That the drive, the size of your drive is. But don't be alarmed, this is quite normal. It's still a 1 terabyte drive. So then we click next, because now we only see one place. That's the only place you can put it. We're going to click next, and then what it's going to do now, it's going to copy all your Windows files. It's going to copy all the necessary Windows files to your M.2 drive, and once that's done and it goes through the first install, the first reboot, sorry, after it does the first section of the install and it goes through the reboot, we can then remove our installation media, because basically what it's doing, the files that it needs to do the installation, it's just copying from the media, putting it onto that section of the hard drive that's been taken away. Yeah, that's been deducted. That's why you only see 9.31 whatever it is megabytes. It's going to put it there. It's going to put the installation files there and work from there, and that's like a reserved area on the drive. So that's what it's doing now. So you can see the files that it needs. It's up to 77% already. So you can see this is quite quick for a business PC, though it's a 9th gen system, and though it's probably the lowest specification for, depending on the type of business that you're running. This would be the lowest that I go. I normally go higher. I normally go for an i7 processor. Probably same board, no different, but probably an i7 processor. As I say, this is a micro ATX. You can use a ATX board, and now you see it say it's restart now. It's restarting Windows. That's the first bit. So that's when it carry on installation. When it goes dark, when it turns off, like now, I'm going to unplug my media. I've just done. Now I can put that away. The installation will now carry on by itself. I also need to get my tools. Yeah, I've got it here. Virus Flash, and my optimization tool. That's what I was looking for. So now it's going through the. That's the second reboot. So now it's going through the second part of the installation. So what it's doing now, it's getting all the files ready for Windows installation. Now your basic files, such as for the graphics, because don't forget this chip's got onboard graphics. So the basic drivers for the graphics, keyboard and mouse, just to get the basics operating. That's all it's doing at the moment. And then once we go online, once that's done, and I'm sort of like happy with the installation, then I'll go online and get all the latest updates. So, okay, next stage. As you can see, it's automatically selected United Kingdom at the bottom. This is because down here, this is because it's used the default, because we're using the United Kingdom setup. So it's automatically defaulted. So yes, this is correct. So we click yes for that. And it's going to ask for your keyboard, United Kingdom. Again, you see at the top there, it's pre-selected, yes. No, I don't want to add a second keyboard layout, so we skip there. And it's asking you, you know, it's asking us to connect to the internet. It's saying not connected. And it says to finish setup, you'll need to connect to the internet. Well, we don't. I do not have internet down here. Do you see this right down here? You click on that, and it's still going to try. You see, there's more to this if you connect to the internet. You know, it's telling you all that there, and it's, you know, it's prompting to connect now. But if you look in the left hand corner here, it says continue with limited setup. Well, let me tell you right now, that's incorrect. The setup is not actually limited. Well, it is and it isn't. It's not limited in the fact that all the applications and everything are installed. The only thing that you're going to find that's limited to you is that you can't what is it? Not configure. No, yeah, you can't do certain configurations to the desktop, but you will once you go online and get your latest download. But we're not worried about that for now, so don't worry about this. Just click this, continue with limited setup, and the setup carries on just as normal as if you'd connected to the internet. Now it's asking me who's going to use this. Well, I'm not going to put the client's name in or anything, or his business. I'm just going to put user, because my client can then change this when he gets a system, put in what he wants, whatever password. And we click next here. I'm not going to put a password in, I'm just going to click next. So when the client gets this, when he opens it up, it'll just start up, go into his start screen, and he won't have a password, but then he can then set it up, configure it to his specification. I'm not going to ask him for any details to set it up for him. He's going to do that himself, because like I said, it's not my system. I won't be using this. Hopefully all I'll have to do is just give this a yearly service or 6-month service, depending on the environment it is in. You know, just clean it out, just check it over, make sure everything's okay, and that's it. So I want him to have a trouble-free experience. Now I do leave location on. It's just that it can set the time and date in the system, so I do leave location on. Except find my device. No, all this can be just send required DOSNet. Here at the top one, it automatically selects send requested and an optional diagnostics data. Well, no, you can't get out of it. You've only got two choices. Just send required diagnostics data. That's all I need. I don't need to know anything else. Improving. No, we don't want no inking. This is all. A lot of this is all spyware stuff. Yeah. No. Not now. And now we're going to the final stages. Now I'm going to run an optimization tool in a minute to clean this up a lot, but not before I get all the updates. Personalized, that's what I was going to say. Where it says that option where it said to you, you know, you've been running with limited setup. It's not completely true. All it means is just you just can't do some optimization of the desktop. That's all. But you can't do that anyway until you've activated Windows. So the installation process, it's not limited at all in any way, shape or form. And another reason why you don't want to connect to internet straight away and activate Windows is because Windows will try to get you to activate the installation. But hang on, what happens if you have an issue during the installation? Windows don't install correctly, something gets corrupted. Yeah, you've already put your activation key in and then you try to install Windows again. Well, 9 times out of 10 you probably get about 2 to 3 attempts, and after that it blocks out telling that you need to buy a new key. Yeah, which is unfair after you just spent however much it is for a key. So by not connecting to the internet, doing the installation this way, you get a more seamless experience. You see, there we are now, we're at the desktop. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is maybe later. What I'm going to do now is connect my Ethernet cable. I'm using wide Ethernet and get all the latest update, because I now need the updates from the internet. As soon as I plug this in, it's actually going to start getting the updates in the background. Yeah, it's going to be doing its out in the background, and then when you actually click on the update, Windows Update button, you're going to see that half the time a lot of the updates is already started. And I can see the light on the back of the Ethernet blinking, and I can see the light on my switch blinking. So we know that what's going on now in the background is the updates. Now I'm still going to have to click the Windows Update option, because so what we want is settings and update and security, and you can see that already a lot of these updates have been taking place in the background. So I've got to enlarge that because I'm seeing it on a small screen. I'm seeing it on the live stream screen. So all these updates are going on. So basically what's happening now, it's downloading a lot of these that it requires. It's not actually started the installation yet. It's just downloading a lot of the required updates and patches that it needs. And then it'll go through the installation process. But I'll let everything update. I won't restart when that says. I'll make sure everything's downloaded first, and when it all says pending install, there you go. You see, I don't know if that's the graphic. Yeah, that was probably the graphics. Yeah, and it was the graphics. Everything's gone finer again now within the Windows, because what you had was the basic drivers from Windows for the onboard graphics, but now it's gone online, and because it's Intel, it's actually gone and found the actual graphics in the chip, which we'll see when we inspect the device manager what the actual graphics is. So we let that do its stuff, won't interrupt it. And now I'm going to flick over onto my other PC because I need to monitor what's happening. Because I'm just on this screen, I can't see if anyone's actually making any comments. Well, this is the first for me. This is the first time that I've done 2 live streams in one day. Don't forget to give the videos a like, guys. Okay, so I'm looking at my other screen here and I can see it's saying everything's requiring install now. Pending install. So, install now. And there we go, installation's taking place. We've also got some optional updates, and can you see how they're saying get ready for Windows 11? It's trying to make you go to Windows 11. You don't need to go to Windows 11 yet, but you can do if you wanted to. Now, I will reach out to my client before I deliver back this PC and ask him if he wants me to upgrade it to Windows 11. But for now, I'm putting Windows 10 on because he says he has got everything in Windows 10, and I'm quietly confident he's capable of going to Windows 11 himself if he wants to. Now, I don't want you to get worried. You see how in the updates, do you see how the Intel system, the Intel Corporation display and the Intel system again at the bottom, they all say status download error, retry. Don't click it, don't touch it. I'll tell you why that is. Because if you look at the top one, the cumulative update for Windows 10, which is the 22H2. It's a big update, and it's actually installing at 21%. You see now it's jumped to 45%, and that's why all these have, it says download error, but it's not actually an error. What's happened is those updates have been paused because those cannot be installed until that cumulative update is actually fully installed, and that's what it is. So if you're ever doing this and you see that on your screen, do not panic. Look for which update's been installed, and when it's a big update like that cumulative install update, if that has to be installed, then all other, before any other thing else, then all other updates will be paused, and that's why it's saying error, download error, retry. But don't touch it. Don't. It's not an error. There's nothing wrong with it. It's waiting for that update to install. Now maybe when that's finished, sometimes it will automatically resume, or you just press retry again. But let that totally install first, because it's installing, and that's why you've got those errors on the others, because those can't go in until that one's gone in. Yeah. A lot of people make this error when they're downloading the Windows, when they're doing their updates, and they cause themselves problems, and they actually end up corrupting their installation because they think something's wrong, and they're trying to retry these installation prior to the other updates before it's fully installed, and it can actually corrupt the system. So leave it. I let it totally install. It's going up. There's a big update. There's part, when it gets to certain parts of it, it will pause for a long time, and that's not anything wrong. What it is because a lot of the code is actually been compressed to save space, because it's so big. It's being compressed, and so it takes slightly longer to decompress and install, and that's all it is. If you take your time and read what's on your screen during the installation, you'll find you have a smooth installation process, and don't panic at every error message you see. If every single one of them had said retry, then I know something would have happened, but it's not. The top one is still being installed. We're at 74%, and it's been there for a couple of minutes now, but it will do. There's parts of the installation, it's usually around this area, where it seems to stop for quite a while, but there's nothing wrong. It's been decompressed. The installation's been decompressed, the files have been decompressed and then inserted in the correct places, and then the next thing you know, after a while, it then jumps, and then it just seems to whiz through afterwards. So just wait, be patient. If you've a nervous disposition, go make yourself a cup of tea, or go get yourself a glass of wine to calm down, yeah, or whatever your favourite tipple is. You see now it's gone to 81. See, 82 now. So it's jumped from 74 now gone to 82. There's 83, 84. See, it's going up. You see. So when you get these pauses in an installation, always remember that not all the files are written. Not all the files are small and written basically. The smaller files install straight away because they're just like written in basic, in a basic form, and they can install quickly. But the cumulative updates, some files are so large that they're actually compressed, and it has to decompress before it can be installed, and that's why you get the long delay. Now it says restart required, and pending restart. So now we have to restart the system to allow that cumulative update to install, and then the other files should then be reinstalled. So we just press restart now. Okay, so here we are back at the desktop, and then what we have to do again now is go back into the Windows updates, because there are still a couple of updates there, and there are also some other updates that were available. So click that again. Optional update. There were also some optional updates that were available. So we click on the updates again, and we check for updates. And there you are. Those are those other two updates that were. There you are. You see how they've gone in quick. So what I'm going to do is check again, because there is some optional updates. Okay, view optional updates. So now what we do is that we click view optional updates, and these are for drivers, so they're probably for the Intel chip, and there you go, Intel system. So we click that, download and install, and there you are. And then we do another check, and there we are, we're up to date. So that's how quick and easy it was. Now this is telling you to get ready. Now this system can run Windows 11. It's telling you to get ready for Windows 11, and this is going to be mithering you. It's going to be mithering you to run Windows 11, saying check your hardware. Well, this hardware can run 11. It's ready for Windows 11. I may have to go into the BIOS and turn on TPM, but I'm quite sure it's turned on. But you may have to. Sometimes it's turned on by default. Sometimes the Windows 10 installation will turn it on. Sometimes it won't. We don't want to check that, because we're quite happy. So let me just give you a little insight. What happened here, guys, is that I went onto the website for the motherboard, which is the Gigabyte website, to get the latest BIOS for this model motherboard. I had one little oversight in the fact that there is two revisions of this motherboard, and when I downloaded the BIOS file, it was actually for revision 2 of the motherboard, and when I tried to install it, I kept getting a check somewhere. So I tried for 3 or 4 times. I thought maybe I'd gone too high on the BIOS, because I went straight to the latest BIOS, the last BIOS, which was F14, and on here I was on F0 or something. Anyway, when I went back, I had no access, so when I went back onto the site, I looked again, I realised that I had actually hit the wrong tab had been selected. The revision 2 tab had been selected by default, and I actually wanted the 1.1 revision tab. So I clicked that, and the revision was FP. I downloaded that, got it installed, and it installed okay. So unfortunately, you didn't get to see the installation of the updating of the BIOS. You see, look, there it is. Intel platform to disabled. Now I'm going to enable that. and that's why it said it couldn't run it, but it can. Now that's enabled, it'll come up now saying it can run it. Now that I've enabled the TPM module, it will come up in Windows eventually saying that the system is, the system passes the requirements to run Windows 11. It'll tell you that it can, but don't look for it straight away. It may actually take a day for it to do. I've noticed that on some systems, when you actually do a restart, it still says, when you do the security update, it still says it cannot run Windows Update. But I think it's once it gets detected by Microsoft, once the Microsoft servers detected it, it will tell you that it can run it. So if you don't see it straight away, do not panic, do not run or think anything's broken. You may see it the next time you go into the Windows Update, it will tell you that it can run. So be patient. A lot of this stuff is patience and not panicking. Okay. As you can see in this section here, you can see me navigating through the BIOS, trying to get the BIOS update detected on the flash drive, and it's coming up unknown device, unknown device or whatever, and it won't install, and you see say can't load file. Well, this was what I mentioned before. The file that actually downloaded was for version 2 of the motherboard. So this was the bit that I actually missed out. So I won't show all this bit, but this is where I was pondering about. But like I said, I eventually got it sorted. So we'll skip this bit for now. Okay, so I'm now going to exit the BIOS and restart the machine, and then I'm going to run the optimization tool for Windows 10, get that optimized, and like I said, the BIOS was sorted. I sorted that later on once I realised my mistake, and that is something you need to be aware of when you do BIOS updates. The revision of your board does matter. So if you get a checksum error when you try to install your BIOS, don't panic. Don't think that you've ruined a drive or you've ruined a board or anything. Just check that the board hasn't got several revisions, and you may have to go down to revisions. It's always a good idea to make a note of your BIOS revision when you first install the board and you run it and you go into the BIOS. Make a note of it, because like I said, the original BIOS on this, it came shipped with F0 or FO, yeah, and the latest BIOS that it got was FP, obviously MNOP. But when I'd gone onto the site, because it had automatically by default selected the revision 2, it was showing an F14, and I thought maybe I'd missed 13 BIOSes. I thought it was from F0 to 14, but obviously it was an oversight on my part. That was user error, but it can happen to anyone. But this is a good thing to check. But unlike the old days of motherboards, you see, people would have tried to install that and brick the motherboard, but modern BIOSes now, they have a checksum, and if it comes up an error, then you know you got the wrong BIOS. It won't let you install wrong BIOSes, so it's very hard nowadays to actually brick a board. But you still need to be careful and still watch. So always check your board revisions and get the correct BIOS, especially if it's got more than one, because the site will actually default to the newest revision of a board. Yeah. A point to note. Right. Now, if you're wondering why I'm a bit, why I'm taking my time over this process, it's simply because I'm not looking at this PC through a normal screen like you would yours. I'm actually looking at it through the OBS through the OBS Studio Mode screen, yeah, and so everything is like shrunk. And so what I've done is I've turned on my gaming PC, and I'm actually watching the stream that I'm streaming from my streamer PC as you're seeing it, and I'm actually using that screen to reference all the controls that I need to do. So that's why everything seems to be taking a little bit longer, but it's simply because I can't see everything. So now what I need to do is to drag this to the desktop. Okay, pull it out, pull it out. And then I'll run that. And what it's doing now, it's going through and it's optimizing this system. So it's turning off all the process and things that aren't needed in the background, and all those spyware stuff that runs. It's actually taking that off. So that's what's going on. Okay, and I'm going to wrap it up there because that's it. I'm going to update the BIOS, but I'm going to do that offline. I was going to show you how to do it, but I'm going to try another disk. It's saying it can't read the file. It's not actually saying there's a disk fault. It's saying it can't read the file. So there might be something wrong with the file. I'll go back onto Gigabyte's website and just double check. I can do that in my own time. So guys, let me just delete that. There's my bin. Empty recycle bin, and yes. And that's the system more or less basically ready, apart from what I'm going to do. Which is just basically tidy it up a bit. Okay. Thank you all for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.